made you want to hire me? This is his place.
Desperation.
Yeah. That was the best option. That's actually what he meant to say.
You want an honest answer? We wanted to hire Kel because sincerely she was very conscientious, very eager to learn, open-minded, and friendly. All that has disappeared ever since, but
Sound guys across America with your girl Kel. We're at the pageant here in St. Louis, Missouri. I started before the pandemic. I started subbing, and I was working at venues around town, smaller clubs, and then so I started shadowing. A lot of times I was doing monitors from front of house. I worked at the Ready Room and off Broadway. All these are in St. Louis. A lot of DIY shows, a lot of punk shows.
Yeah.
I built pumpkin amplifiers. 2020 lockdown, Halloween. I was home. I had a couple roommates at the time, but I ended up home alone on Halloween, and I was building amplifiers just as we all did weird stuff during lockdown. And I was like, I'm gonna put this in a pumpkin. And so that was 3 years ago. This year will be my third pumpkin, and it's gonna be about this big. And so it's like about a 1 watt amplifier. I just pop in there, and first year I put the speaker in it. Second year I started mounting the speakers on the outside, so better low end response that way. Play guitar, bass. I know like a drum beater too. Started learning how to solder like pedals and whatnot out of kits, because once upon a time I had to pawn all of my shit and that sucked. And then slowly I heard you could make them for cheaper, and so I slowly rebuilt my radios, cassette players, better distortion than something. Just out of curiosity, like books from the library.
Yeah.
There's this book called like Junkyard Jam Band. It teaches you, it's like for people and their kids, I guess, or something. I don't know, how to make like weird instruments. And I was just really curious about building pedals at the time. I don't really build pedals now. To rebuild what a clone, right?
Yeah.
Clones. And then wanting to understand it, fix stuff. I was living at this punk house that had a bunch of broken stuff, and I was like, and I didn't work a lot then, and so I was like, let me just open this up and mess around.
Yes.
Yeah, so eventually just like picking it up, like doing shows, local shows, basement shows, what have you. And like I had a basis from that. You turn this knob, it gets louder. If you turn it too much, you gotta turn it back down. It feeds back. And then when I decided I needed to work a job, I learned that I could get a job doing this. And so I studied my ass off, hit YouTube really hard, and shouted whenever I could, went to shows every night I had off, and be like, hey, can I look at what you're doing? Can I help? And just really poured into it and stuff. But I like it. It speaks to me. It's the kind of stuff I like.
Yeah,
I could obsess about and think about it when I'm laying in bed. I'm like, okay. Putting stuff together and meeting people every day, something new every day, different hours every day. Not too monotony. I worked at an amplifier company for 3 months during lockdown, and it was too monotonous, it was cool, but I worked for Magnatone.
Oh, sweet.
Here in St. Louis, which is cool. But then when things started opening back up, I couldn't stay away.
Yeah.
Especially when the pageant comes calling. I used to sneak in when I was a teenager, borrow like an 18-year-old ID.
Yeah,
Go to
right
Canopy Club, see headlights there back in the day. Turnstile was here last night, and that was pretty wild. That was fun. We had Big Thief here come through, and I really liked them. Or Dead, Dead, Dream Eagle, Heavy Dream. I don't know if they go by that anymore. I did monitors for Dinosaur Jr. a couple weeks ago. That was sick. Kurt Vile's coming tomorrow with Julia Shapiro. It's gonna be sick. White gaff tape. What this means to me, it means it will not immediately leave a residue. White means high vis. I would not label a board with this. Ideally wouldn't label a snake with this. I'm very passionate about tape. I love different kinds of tape. We got spike, we got gaff, we got E. I don't really fuck with duct tape. Come on. Yeah, what is this?
No,
Gaff is gold. Apparently at the pageant it just grows on trees. It's not labeled, because I just never want to accidentally take someone's. But I also just gotta I work at so many clubs where it's you bring your own tape or there's one. So I'm always keeping an eye on it,
Yeah, people steal gaff.
But we have plenty. but keep Pat happy with me. Not running through the gaff. Yeah. Oh man. Gold. Gaff is gold. I respect a courtesy tab, especially when it's placed on the floor. I am adamant. I like to spike wedges. Like, you might not think you need it, just do it. You know what I mean? Just thorough. Yeah.
The courtesy tab is a move.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see that too much.
Yeah, especially if tape it on the floor. It's like I don't want to put my nail on the floor of the stage.
Yeah.
Ugh. So I just would rather,
That's.
I want to take that home with me.
I'm gonna start doing that.
I think wrapping cable is so important. You know what I mean? It's like the first thing and last thing people notice about your work. I think it like speaks a lot about your work ethic. I've been mixing for decades, but I think like I pay attention to detail and make a plan and stick to it and communicate, and I think that makes up for a lot of that, What do I wish people knew about sound? That there's only so much you can do. There are limits. It's physics. It's like Jane Maskus, like, you've got 5 amps on this stage, and I will get that microphone ripping. It'll be so hot in your wedge, like, we'll go. But at a certain time, there's just only so much we can do. At some point, a guitar player is going to have to turn down. Like, you can't just bury these frequencies, One's got to give. So that there are just physical limits. Like, when I say no, I don't want to. I don't ever want to say no. But, people might think they're like, oh, they're just being curmudgeon or something, a sound guy.
Yeah,
Not
right.
me, of course. But there is, like, straight up just, like, physical limitations. Yeah, and so if you go to a show and it sounds like shit, just like, yeah, well, there's a lot going on, and it might not just be, it's not necessarily someone not caring or whatever. Who knows? They limited stuff. From, it's more acceptable probably for young men to hit the road, to rock, and with, less acceptance to women doing that, or then, like, confining them to certain roles, and so just slowly getting away from that, and then women bringing other women up is, like, really important to me, just, like, I'll clock it. It's like, yeah, I'll have your back all night, I'll have anybody's back all night, but, just we look out for each other.
Alright.
Probably somewhere in Peoria or Chicago, just setting up, like, a little Mackie mixer, and having a friend, actually, Jason Bala and Dad, be like, he would come over and I'm like, well, which one? And I just knew it was at the top. Now I know it's Gain, but that's where it all, like, started.
Yeah.
And there's a record shop in Chicago called Bric-a-Brac Records.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know Bric-a-Brac? Love that place.
It's
and
moved.
So,
They moved.
Yep. Have you been?
Not to the new one.
You gotta check out, and they've the new coffee shop called The Brood. It's like horror movie themed, so perfect for this time of year.
Okay.
You gotta get this out there fast.
Yeah, I
so
will.
it's relevant. So yeah, I used to live down the street from them, and then we would do in stores there, and so working with them, just like little things, like little speakers on sticks or on a chair or on the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, just local. I went on my first tour when I was 20. I went with some friends. They took me and just helped out, and toured in my own band since then. And but I really got into like the study of sound like 8 years ago, something like that.
Right on.
And I just, before I was like, yeah, just turn it. Oh, we better turn it back down. Just crank it as loud as it can go, and then. What's a high pass filter? I don't know, Things we grow from.
Yeah, right on.
The limit does not exist.
For you.
Yeah. Fuck it. It's what I don't really want to say no. I've learned I'm happier if I don't say no. Great sound person is someone who cares. If you care, like, it goes pretty far. Just like give like a shit. If you don't, like, now's a good time to get a different job. Really. Some people are like miserable. I'm like, you should do something about that. Just like, what do you want to do? Life's short. Don't, go do that. Go try. Have you tried? What have you tried? So just caring. Sobriety has gotten me far. You know what I mean? I feel like there have been times where I was the only, like, sober person at a gig, and then I was the person called back for the next one. Hello. And the internet is awesome. You can learn anything. It's so fun. It's great. Stay nerdy. Stay curious. And I'm now taking calls for touring 2023 summer. my amps, get in touch at Wattever99, WATT, or WatteverAudio@gmail.com.
Is a gift, and we always say this, that we would have no show